The child's small body burned with fever, her tiny chest heaving with each sob. This was dumebi, the mad woman of Oshodi. Her eyes, wide and unblinking, stared at the water before her. It was deep, treacherous, a brown soup of debris and filth from the flooded streets. Across the pool, barely visible through the rain, stood the small clinic, its flickering neon sign a beacon of hope. Duduke's cries grew weaker, her little hands clutching at her mother's gown. The crowd gathered, their umbrellas bobbing like dark clouds. They kept shouting her name, telling her not to enter the water. 2 years earlier, under the mango tree in Oshodi Market, Dumebi danced. Her body-hugging gown, a bright red swirled around her as she moved, her bare feet kicking up small clouds of dirt. In her arms, a tiny baby giggled, her small hands clapping to the rhythm of her mother's steps. The market women, their trays of tomatoes, yam, and smoked fish, balanced on their heads, paused to watch. Duduke, Duduke, they sang, their voices rising in the sweet melody of Simi's song. It was the only word Dumebi ever said, so they named the baby Duduke. See Ashide dance for her baby, Mama Ngozi, the fish seller, said with a smile. Mad or not, she loved that child past anything. The women clapped, tossing kobo coins into a small bowl at Dumebi's feet. She didn't notice the money. Her eyes were locked on her baby, her Duduke, whose laughter was like bells in the wind. The market was alive with sound, traders haggling, children laughing, the distant hum of a generator. But for Dumebi, there was only Duduke, her small face a mirror of hope. But Oshodi wasn't always kind. Dumebi hadn't always been this way. The older women swore she was once a seamstress, her fingers nimble with needle and thread, crafting gowns that made brides weep with joy. Some said she had a lover, a man who promised her the stars, but left her with nothing but a broken heart. Others whispered of juju, of a curse that stole her mind and left her wandering. But no one knew the truth. All they knew was Dumebi, the mad woman who dressed well and danced for her baby under the mango tree. Dumebi's life with Duduke was a battle no one saw. In the early days, she struggled to care for her child. She wandered the back streets of Oshodi, her gown tattered at the hem, her baby crying in her arms. She didn't know how to feed her. One day, hungry and desperate, she picked up scraps from the gutter, rotten yam peels, a half-eaten moi-moi, and tried to push them into Duduke's mouth. The baby wailed, spitting out the dirt, her small face twisted in hunger. The market women watched, shaking their heads. See this woman, oh, one said. She won't give baby rubbish to chop. But Mama Ngozi saw something else. Dumebi's eyes, wild with panic, searching for answers she didn't have. One afternoon, as Dumebi sat under the mango tree, her baby screaming, Mama Ngozi approached. She sat beside her, opened her blouse, and began to breastfeed her own child, a plump boy named Shidi. Dumebi stared, her head tilted like a curious bird. Mama Ngozi didn't say a word. She just fed her son, her hands gentle, her voice humming a soft tune. Dumebi watched, her lips moving silently. Duduke, she whispered. Then, slowly, she lifted her gown and brought Duduke to her chest. The baby latched on, her cries fading into soft gulps. The market women gasped, some laughing, others clapping. She done learn, oh! One shouted. From that day, Dumebi followed Mama Ngozi like a shadow. She watched how Mama Ngozi carried Chidi on her back, the cloth tied snugly around her waist. Dumebi tried to copy her, but at first she fumbled. She tied Duduke upside down, the baby's head dangling, her legs kicking. The market roared with laughter. See, mad woman, oh, she won't kill her baby. But Mama Ngozi didn't laugh. She walked over, adjusted the cloth, and showed Dumebi how to tie it properly. With time, Dumebi learned. She carried Duduke on her back, her gown swaying as she danced. The market women began to see her differently. This mad woman she'd try, one said. One morning, as the sun rose over Oshodi, painting the market in soft oranges and pinks, Mama Ngozi set up her fish stall, her hands swift as she gutted tilapia, the scales glinting like tiny jewels in the early light. Dumebi sat nearby, Duduke on her lap, the baby's small hands tugging at the hem of her gown. Mama Ngozi glanced over, her stout frame softened by a smile. Dumebi, you done chop today? She asked, her voice loud enough to carry over the hum of the market waking up. Dumebi didn't answer, her lips moving silently. Do-do-ke? Mama Ngozi sighed, wiping her hands on her wrapper before reaching into a small pot beside her. She scooped out a spoonful of pap, the maize porridge steaming in the cool morning air, and handed it to Dumebi. Feed your baby, she said, her tone firm but kind. Dumebi stared at the spoon, her hands trembling as she took it. She looked at Duduke, then at the pap, her brow furrowing in confusion. The market women nearby paused, their trays of tomatoes and peppers balanced on their heads, watching with bated breath. Dumebi dipped the spoon into the pap, the thick, creamy mixture dripping slightly, and brought it to Duduke's mouth. The baby, now a few months old, opened her mouth eagerly, her tiny hands reaching out. But Dumebi's hand shook, and the pap splattered onto Duduke's chin, then onto her gown. The market erupted in laughter, the women doubling over, their voices high with amusement. See, mad woman, oh, she no fit feed baby, one shouted, slapping her thigh. But Mama Ngozi didn't laugh. She walked over, her wrapper swishing, and knelt beside Dumebi. No be so, she said softly, taking Dumebi's hand in hers. She guided the spoon, steadying it, and brought it to Duduke's mouth. The baby ate, her small lips smacking, her eyes bright with delight. Dumebi watched, her head tilted, her eyes following Mama Ngozi's every move. Like this, Mama Ngozi said, repeating the motion, her hand over Dumebi's. You hold 'em steady, eh? No shake. Dumebi nodded, a small jerky motion, and tried again. This time, the spoon reached Duduke's mouth, and the baby ate without spilling. The market women clapped, their laughter turning to cheers. She done learn-o! One shouted, her voice ringing with pride. Dumebi's lips curved into a faint smile, her eyes shining with a quiet triumph. She fed Duduke another spoonful, then another, her hand growing steadier with each try. Mama Ngozi stood, her hands on her hips, watching with a satisfied nod. Good, she said. Now you go feed her every morning, eh? No more gutter food. Dumebi looked up, her eyes meeting Mama Ngozi's, and for a moment, the market saw not a mad woman, but a mother learning to care for her child. The lessons continued over the weeks. One afternoon, as the market buzzed with the midday rush, Mama Ngozi decided it was time for Dumebi to learn how to bathe Duduke. She filled a small bucket with water from the market's communal tap, the water splashing onto the ground, mixing with the dust to form a muddy puddle. Come, she called to Dumebi, who sat under the mango tree, Duduke in her arms, the baby's face sticky with pap. Dumebi shuffled over, her red gown swaying, her bare feet leaving prints in the dust. Mama Ngozi handed her a small piece of soap, its scent sharp and clean, and gestured to the bucket. Wash your baby, she said. Dumebi stared at the soap, then at the water, her hands hesitant. She dipped the soap into the bucket, the water turning murky, and rubbed it between her palms, creating a thin lather. But instead of washing Duduke, she began to rub the soap on her own face, the suds dripping down her chin. The market women burst into laughter again, their voices echoing through the stalls. See this woman, oh! She dey wash her face instead of baby? One shouted, wiping tears from her eyes. Dumebi froze, her hands still on her face, her eyes wide with confusion. Mama Ngozi shook her head, a smile tugging at her lips, and knelt beside her. No be for you, she said, taking the soap from Dumebi's hands. She lathered it again, then gently began to wash Duduke, the baby giggling as the cool water splashed over her small body. See, Mama Ngozi said, her hands gentle as she cleaned Duduke's arms, her legs, her tiny feet. You wash 'em soft, eh? No rub too hard. Dumebi watched, her head tilted, her hands mimicking Mama Ngozi's motions in the air. When Mama Ngozi handed her the soap again, Dumebi tried, her hands clumsy but careful. She washed Duduke's back, the baby squirming and laughing, the water splashing onto Dumebi's gown. Good, Mama Ngozi said, her voice warm. You dey learn fast. The market women watched, their laughter fading into soft murmurs of approval. This mad woman, she fit be Mother O, one said, her voice tinged with respect. Dumebi didn't hear them. Her eyes were on Duduke, her hands gentle, her lips whispering, Duduke, Duduke. Another day, Mama Amina, a pepper seller with a sharp tongue but a kind heart, decided to teach Dumebi how to soothe Duduke when she cried. It was a hot afternoon, the sun beating down on Oshodi, the air thick with the smell of smoked fish and ripe mangoes. Duduke was restless, her cries piercing the market noise, her small face red with frustration. Dumebi rocked her, her arms awkward, her gown sticking to her skin with sweat. Mama Amina, her tray of peppers balanced on her head, walked over, her wrapper swishing. Dumebi, you no fit just hold 'em like that, she said, her voice sharp but not unkind. She took Duduke from Dumebi's arms, the baby still wailing, and began to bounce her gently, her hands patting the child's back in a steady rhythm. You sing for Am, Mama Amina said, her voice softening. Baby-like song. She began to hum, a Yoruba lullaby her mother had sung to her, the melody low and soothing. Omo mi, sunmo mi, ma sunmo mi. Duduke's cries softened, her small body relaxing in Mama Amina's arms. Dumebi watched, her head tilted, her eyes following the rhythm of Mama Amina's hands. When Mama Amina handed Duduke back, Dumebi tried, her arms bouncing the baby, her lips moving silently at first. Then, softly, she whispered, Duduke, Duduke. It wasn't the lullaby Mama Amina had sung, but it was Dumebi's song, her voice a broken melody that carried all her love. Duduke's cries faded, her small head resting on Dumebi's shoulder, her eyes fluttering closed. The market women watched, their faces soft with awe. See as she dey calm the baby, one whispered. Mad woman or not, she get mother heart. Over the months, Dumebi's lessons continued, each one a thread in the tapestry of her bond with Duduke. Mama Ngozi taught her how to mash yam into a soft paste for Duduke to eat, her hands guiding Dumebi's as they pressed the yam with a wooden spoon. Mama Amina showed her how to tie a headscarf to shade Duduke from the sun, the fabric a bright yellow that made the baby giggle. Another woman, Mama Bose, a quiet trader who sold palm oil, taught Dumebi how to clean Duduke's clothes, her hands showing her how to scrub the tiny dress against a stone, the water turning red with market dust. The market women became Dumebi's silent teachers, their lessons a communal act of love. They saw her struggle, her determination, her love for Duduke, and they couldn't look away. She no be mad woman again, Mama Ngozi said one evening, as the market closed and the women gathered under the mango tree, their voices low. She be mother. The others nodded, their hands busy with their wares, their hearts full with the change they had witnessed. But one day the rain fell like a broken dam. A woman stood at the edge of a wide, murky pool of water. Her body-hugging gown, once a vibrant red, but now faded and torn, clung to her thin frame, soaked through by the downpour. Her hair, a wild tangle of knots and dirt, framed her face like a crown of thorns. In her arms, her baby, Duduke, wailed, a piercing, heart-wrenching cry that cut through the storm like a blade. The child's small body burned with fever, her tiny chest heaving with each sob. This was Dumebi, the mad woman of Oshodi. Her eyes, wide and unblinking, stared at the water before her. It was deep, treacherous, a brown soup of debris and filth from the flooded streets. Across the pool, Barely visible through the rain, stood the small clinic, its flickering neon sign a beacon of hope. Duduke's cries grew weaker, her little hands clutching at her mother's gown. The crowd gathered, their umbrellas bobbing like dark clouds, their whispers sharp as knives. Mad woman wait a carry baby? She no go make 'em, one man muttered. Na curso, a woman added, shaking her head. But dumebi didn't hear them. She clutched her baby tighter, her arms trembling under the weight of love and desperation. Then, with a deep breath, she closed her eyes and stepped into the water.